From Seacroft, East Leeds, Leeds, Yorkshire, Europe, the world, the universe, the multiverse. Writing on air.
Welcome to Writing on Air. Thank you to everyone who's joining us for the first time today. We're here upstairs in the studio for Addressing Addiction. We've got Keith Fenton and a band of merry men by the looks of it. And a lot of this festival has been more, these lateral ideas of recovery and how all the ways that can be spoken about that aren't very literal, but today we are addressing addiction. So I'm really pleased to hand over to Keith, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Firstly, welcome to everyone. I'm so pleased a big busload came in from Ford Leeds, and you're all in very good spirits, and we're going to hear why in a second. But we'll just briefly introduce you to the panel. That is Chris Sylvester of Getting Clean.
Hello.
And this is Dougie Hampshire, also of Getting Clean. Chris was here in March, and we did a much more low-key event, which went very well. One of our performers, Ben Greenwell, is going to be here at the end, going to be playing some music for us again, as he did in March. But we've got a few other performers, Josh Hall, and we've also got Nikita, who at the very last minute has decided that she will do a song. Only because we invited her to, obviously, and so that's good. And we got Simon Pickles, who's been delayed getting here, but he will be here, so we'll hear from him. Now, you may be wondering why I've got this here. I was wondering myself why it was here. I would like to claim some props, because the sports show that I do, we have featured people, and a lot of them have gone on to win awards, and City of Sanctuary Awards, for example, and various other Leeds Sports Awards, all that kind of thing. So we always feel we back the right horse, and I think we definitely have, because this is, and I shall let Chris tell us more about it, Compassionate City Awards 2024 Community Organisation or Project of the Year is for Getting Clean. Here we go. Wonderful. So everyone's in very, very high spirits here because of that. We'll soon put a stop to that, don't worry. We will have some performances in a little while. Firstly, I'm just going to talk to Chris briefly about the thing we did in March. And also, we have missing today, unfortunately, Professor David Best, who most people in this room know, and he's a world expert on addiction and recovery. So his absence is a big loss to us today. But we'll just have a brief chat with Chris about how he engages with Getting Clean, with Five Ways and everyone else. And then we'll hear from Doug, his story. And then as we go along, we'll be talking to some of the others about their stories. And there'll be a Q&A. In the middle of all that, there will be some fantastic performances. So, Chris, we were here in this very place in March. That was the first time we met, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a great night. It was a bit more low-key than this, but it was a great night. We had some great performances, but we also learned quite a lot about your personal story. And I think today we're going to hear more about Dougie's and some of the performers. But that's led you into Getting Clean and engagement with Ford Leeds. What do you think? Do you think anything has improved since we were last here talking?
Most definitely. We've formed a collaboration with Forward Leeds. They're supporting us now. As you can see, this award, it demonstrates the value of what we offer at City. We don't go out sort of focused on achieving these awards. It's just recognition for what we do, which it blows us away. But moving forward, since we last spoke, there's been lots of development within Getting Clean. We signed up our 100th member a couple of weeks back.
Wow.
As a LERO, a lived experience recovery organisation, we're really going from strength to strength, and our approach is unique. Nobody does it anywhere. So And we touch on so many areas of support, but it's all built on lived experience that makes it unique.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we did speak in that interview about your personal experience. So anyone who wants to hear about Chris's personal experience, I'll refer them to the previous thing we did on the 8th of March, which is available on YouTube and also on the Chapel FM website. But one person who wasn't there was Dougie Hampshire. So we haven't heard your story, Dougie, and I've only met you today, so I don't know a great deal about you. And I'd like to hear, and I'm sure everyone here would like to hear, just a little bit, just briefly about your story and the way you've got here today.
Yeah, so I lived in Swarcliffe, you know, just up road. You know, I brought up. I was born in 1983. You know, I had, you know, quite a good upbringing and stuff like that. But you know, what chaos brought to me was, you know, I became an alcoholic at a young age, and I moved down to Inglewoods down at the bottom here, you know, and I got introduced to, you know, drugs and stuff like that. You know, I went into a rehabilitation program where I ended up going to meetings and stuff like that. You know, this is when I met Chris, you know, in the meetings and stuff, you know, and Chris started, you know, mentioning about, you know, getting clean and stuff like that. And when he started off, it was like litter picking, doing all sorts of things and stuff like that. And it, you know, it's just good how it's, you know, developed. You know, we're making soap with hope, you know, which people are buying, and it's helping the community. Not only is it helping the community, it's helping with doing other things and stuff like helping people with gardens, you know, painting and decorating. There's all sorts of things that, you know, the organisation is, you know, helping with and stuff like that. You know, obviously they've won quite 3 awards now, you know, because of the, you know, of how far they're getting and stuff like that, which is amazing from where, you know, where it came from at first. You know, to how it's expanding and stuff like that. You know, it's remarkable that it's getting noticed and stuff like that. You know, like say with Forward Leeds now as well. But you know, like with my story and stuff like, you know, I went from chaos to now when I was scared of education, I was scared of things to do and stuff like, you know, because I was so fearful of life. You know, now I'm flipping. I'm just with St Giles at the moment where I'm training to be a support worker. So I've gone from the madness of nearly going to jail from using every day and stuff like that to finishing a rehabilitation program, to being able to live in my own place, 4 years clean, 4 years clean, and you know, living, volunteering, and you know, looking at prospects of getting into work and stuff like that, which is something that I never thought I would do, because all that's far gone and stuff like, you know, if you mention college to me or I mention anything like that, I was so fearful of it and stuff that, you know, I'd get so aggressive and so angry about it. But, you know, I've got a big thank you to Chris, you know, for all the help that he's helped me through, you know, through being in recovery and meetings and stuff like that, to what we do today, you know, like, just today, you know, like we've had this little Christmas do thing where we've been, you know, packing soap. You know, we've come here to speak to you guys today and, you know, and to, you know, to tell a story and stuff like that. Then later on, we're going for a kiddie, you know, we're going for a kiddie and stuff like that. So, you know, it's been a nice day. Yeah. But, you know, I just want to say that, you know, recovery is possible. Do you know what I mean? You know, if somebody from this area, you know, that lived in this, born and bred in this area and stuff like that, you know, with the right help and the right prospects and stuff like that, you know, all you need to do is reach out, just pick up that phone, you know, talk to people, you know, come to Chapel FM, go to Forward Leeds, you know, there's services out there, there's services available to anybody, you know, and if you want that help, you know, reach out, you know, from one person that thought that it could never change, you know, if I can do it, then anybody off at a state or anybody in society can change, you know, so don't think you're all alone, just reach out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, lovely, thank you. That's brilliant. And can I ask you a quick question about the moment before seeking to recover?
Yeah.
Do you have memories of that, where you were? Were you right at the bottom, or you just thought, what drove you, do you think?
What it was is, you know, I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was in primary school, you know, and I was given a leaflet where, you know, it was special needs. Well, them days it was called Down syndrome, you know, now we call it special needs. So there was a person who had Down syndrome and there was a person who was dyslexic. And, you know, I'd got given this leaflet and I thought it was classed as like, you know, Down syndrome and stuff like that, you know, which, when I went to high school, that's how I was treated. You know, I wasn't allowed to do my GCSEs, I wanted to, like, do anything like that. You know, there were a lot of, you know, I had a good childhood, but, you know, one of my family members, you know, he ended up going into prison and going on drugs and stuff like that. There was quite a bit of violence in family and stuff, you know. But you know, from that, you know, I was drinking heavily anyway, you know, because I was rebelling about stuff that were happening and stuff like that. You know, I thought that my mum looked after him more than she looked after me and things like that. I was just a mixed up little kid, do you know? You know, and I think I think as well what I. On the estate and stuff like, you know, because I was brought up in such a good way and stuff like, my mum avoided me from all the badness and stuff like that. So when I saw bad stuff, you know, like I craved it. You know, like, when I heard somebody swearing or if I saw somebody eating different meals and stuff like, it's like, why can't I be like that? You know, if I saw my mate, if I saw people that were sat outside a pub and eating a packet of crisps and nut and freezing cold, it was like, it didn't look bad to me, it looked more appealing. I saw people driving around in stolen cars, it looks appealing to me and stuff like that because I wasn't used to that environment. If you get what I mean. But
yeah, no, I do.
The reason why I went to drugs is because basically I just wanted to hide from life. You know, I was fearful of life. I was fearful of, you know, I was just basically fearful and stuff like that. You know, instead of saying, instead of, you know, fighting for my education and thinking, you know, stuff I'm going to do it and stuff like that. You know, I went with it. I listened to what the teachers said. You know, when the teachers said that you're not capable of doing anything, you know, teachers are there supposed to be support. You weren't supposed to help you and stuff. But I think with me, it was more like. I got told that I couldn't do things, and that was a big thing to me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I think that's behind a lot of it is structural, isn't it? People are told that they can't do this or they can't do that, and they can, and this proves it. And Chris, would you say listening to Dougie's story is familiar to you because you know it, but also because there are lots of stories like his, and you obviously have got to deal with a lot of them. But it's also true, isn't it, that when you've met an addict. You've only met one addict, you haven't met them all. They've all got different stories behind them. What I noticed coming to the open mic that I came to at Five Ways the other week, I hope you remember, we had that nice curry and all that. It was a great night. But the people I was meeting, people in recovery, a lot of them were from, you know, backgrounds like with difficult backgrounds, but a lot of them were professionals and people that wouldn't have expected to, you know, people who'd been to Oxford and things like that, you know, I met at least one, and they'd made friends with someone they met in rehab who was street homeless for 10 years. And that shows that, first, that's testament to what you're doing, bringing people together from different backgrounds, but it also tells us something about alcoholism. It doesn't discriminate, does it?
No, there's no boundaries. No. And, like, recovery makes strange bedfellows, same as politics.
Yeah.
You know, the people that come from completely different backgrounds that become friends, that share this common theme, this thread that runs through them, and that's addiction. And the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel.
Yeah.
You know, it says it in literature that we read, in fellowship that we're from. And we've learned how to live in these areas, you know, in these programmes. But addiction knows no boundaries. It don't do classes, don't do postcodes. You know, it's an illness.
Can you briefly as well, just before we carry on, and we would like to talk to a couple of the performers who are going to be, just to get their stories very briefly, but about David Best, because he's been invited onto this, but he couldn't make it. But he's a world-renowned expert. He was the first ever professor of addiction and recovery on the planet. And you've done a lot of work with him, I think, haven't you?
Yeah. So we've formed a good friendship, myself and David. He's an advisor on our panel for Getting Clean. And we use his methodology, his recovery capital methodology, you know, to help our members. It's kind of, when I first met him, he had this deck of cards and I had a look at it, and straight away I sussed it out. It looked like a SWOT analysis for business. But rather than looking for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, we looked at sort of barriers, unmet needs, and then recovery capital, community, personal, social.
Right.
You know, and us being able to identify what people need throughout the stages of the recovery, you know, it involves them. It's very clever.
Right. In a second, I'm going to ask, I think Josh, then Nikita, and then Ben. And if Simon's here at the end of that, I'll ask them just to come up and... I think Peter will take a microphone around to them. And we'll just quickly talk about their stories. But before we do that, can you just quickly tell me what you mean by recovery capital?
Just
briefly.
Yeah, so basically what you've gained from your recovery, you know, like areas of strengths. When you look at it, this recovery capital model that we use, it's about goal setting. So it's about identifying what we have, because when we first come into recovery, it's really difficult to see any positive aspects about anything that we hold. You know, we're not of that mind to be able to identify where we're at. Whereas when we start looking at recovery capital, we look at development within relationships, you know, within sort of personal experiences, circumstances, environments, you know, and this allows us to understand what growth we have and what potential there is there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, well, I'll just first ask, thank you, Peter. We could, Josh, are you ready just to have a quick chat with us? But he'll bring the microphone to you. Because I only met you recently. It was a poetry event, and that's how I decided. It's all right. He's not attacking you. So, can you've come up from Castleford today, haven't you?
Yeah.
Can you just quickly tell us just like Dougie did, just quickly tell us your journey to where you are now, from the bottom to where you are now, and how long it took?
Wow. I suppose I started using it at a young age, from like the age of 15. Just like where I lived, it was like normal to go out to the pub, sniff coke, drink beer, smoke weed. It was like completely normalised where I lived, and everyone else seemed to do all right. They could go out on the weekends, and then they could stop it on a Sunday and then go to work successfully during the week. But when I'd go out and use, I'd end up with a prison sentence at the end of it, causing carnage in my family's life, my life. So I'd done a lot of prison when I was a kid. When I was in prison, I was all right. Like, I was taken away from society, and I'd be clean. And I remember writing heartfelt letters to my family, promising them that I'd never steal off them again, that I'd never bring the police to the house. I wouldn't have any house parties while I was away on holiday, all this sort of stuff, and I'd come out and do the same sort of stuff again. That went on for about 5 years. But after every time I was released from prison, like, the support of my family sort of wavered. But they were just sick of it, you know? They were sick of it. They didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I left Essex when I was about 21 after serving my last prison sentence, because I thought things are getting a bit much now. Like, I just need to get away, get a fresh start. I moved to Coventry. Went to like a hostel place up there, but I sort of got my head down because I'd been through a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, most of it self-inflicted, and I managed to get my head down. I went and done some training, passed a few certificates in construction, ended up getting a really good job out of it, passing my driving license, and I had a good job. I had a successful career in construction for about 5 years, travelling all over the country. But reflecting back on it now, I think I got addicted to work in a sense. So I'd be working 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and I really had no time to indulge in the drugs and the alcohol as I'd done as a kid. But then our working week had changed as we took on different types of jobs, and as soon as I had the opportunity to take drugs and drink again, I did, and I ended up losing that career. And then I ended up moving to Leeds, sort of off the back of that. I was in a hostel run by St George's. I was actually went through treatment at the same time as Chris. He was a bit more successful at it than I was. Because when I first wanted to get clean, I just thought, I want to get clean because I want to get my old job back. I want to get the money back. I want to get sort of my social status back. That's really all I was interested in. They say it's like an inside job, and I was just bothered about the external things, to be fair. So I'd done a year, relapsed, went to a few more treatment centres, and whilst I'm in them, I do fine again, because I'm taken away from society, I suppose, and like things are done for me. I just need to just stay clean and do as I'm told, really. So I bounced around in a few treatment centres, but then every time I'd relapse, it would get worse, because when I first got into recovery, I only sniffed a bit of coke and drunk, and by the end of it, like, I was injecting heroin, smoking crack, on high doses of methadone. So at the end of last year, I was homeless, like street homeless, sleeping behind a graveyard, injecting regularly, 70 mil of methadone, like weighed about 8 stone. And I remember this guy at the local food bank took pity on us. Well, he didn't take pity on us. I think he was just a kind gentleman. And he said, look, I'll refer you to the street outreach team, because I was with my partner at the time as well. And we was in a bad way. No one would touch us. And an organisation called the Saviour Trust ended up taking us in at the start of this year. And we both managed to get clean. I'd had enough. I'd had enough. Came up. I stopped injecting, stopped taking heroin, reduced off my script, got down to like 10 mil of Subutex, and then came off it. Like rattled through that. That was like 6 months ago, but I still struggled like with the crack and the drinking. But I've been in the community all this time, you know, so it's a lot. It was a lot different for me to adapt, because like where I live, it's all around me.
Yeah.
Every day, it's around me. So I've been engaging with the type of recovery that I do, connecting with people. My poetry helps massively. I'm doing a bit of dancing. I heard once, if you don't express yourself, you depress yourself. So I'm trying to express myself in the most healthy ways that I can at the minute. And today, thank God, things are going all right.
Yeah.
And that's about it, man.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going over to someone that I met even more recently, just today, Nikita, who'll be singing for us a bit later. Yeah, Nikita, do you want to just briefly tell us your journey to where you are now?
So I've been in recovery. Well, I've been in and out of recovery for about 6 years now, and I've always desired to get clean, and I just couldn't grasp it. You know, throughout my addiction, pain was a massive thing, like emotions, feelings, pain, trauma, all that sort of stuff, domestic violence, relationships. They were all triggers, and the easy thing for me to do was just use. Use until I didn't even know where I was, which can be, it was quite dangerous, you know. The situations that I got myself in was very, very dangerous, and only last year I was in like I was seeing somebody, and it resulted with a knife being put to my face, basically. Which then after that, I was in addiction again. I was doing the same stuff over and over and over again, doing the same things but expecting different results, really. And it got quite hard. You know, I've got a daughter as well. She's 6. And when she got took from me, not due to addiction, but postnatal depression, which is not really talked about, mental health, all that sort of stuff that come hand in hand. I volunteered to sign her over to my mum, basically, and it was the most loving thing I could have done for myself and her, but the most soul crushing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because all I wanted was to be that perfect mum. I wanted to do everything for her. I wanted this fairy tale. And looking back on it now, it's not that I was a necessarily bad mum. I was poorly. And I'm very grateful today that my mum's took her on, because she could have been in the care system, which I wouldn't have wanted for my daughter. You know, throughout my journey in recovery, I've built up so many things, but also lost them in a blink of an eye. I'm just over 7 months clean and sober now, and it's the longest that I've ever had. You know, I've started to build up on those relationships that I broke down myself through my addiction and to my actions. And overall, things are going all right now. I'm grateful to have my family back in my life. My uncle's also in recovery. And we're just different people. I can only speak for myself, but when I'm in addiction, you know, I'm not a nice person at all. But when I'm clean, I'm loving, I'm caring, I'm kind, all that sort of stuff. But But yeah, I've got my daughter back in my life today. I've got unsupervised contact with my daughter now. And this weekend I get to take her out for 2 days. So there's so many things to look forward to, you know, the gifts of recovery that I'm so grateful for. It's been a massive whirlwind. But I am grateful for also the friends that I've made along the way, you know, the support network that I've got around me, because it's been a massive, massive help.
Well, thank you very much for telling us your story. Is Simon still here?
Simon, come upstairs and see him.
Has he? Did he go? Are you there? Oh, yes, Simon. Simon, we go up to we can't see Simon from here, but he can see us. Yeah. Hey, Si. All right. I've known you a bit longer. You're on our poetry community, very supportive part of that. Do you want to just, again, briefly, just because we'd like to get to Ben and then to some performances, just briefly, your story, because I think it's quite a long story, so encapsulated it, how you've ended up here in recovery and being involved with this from where you were.
I ended up getting into heroin like a lot of other people and crack, and spent a lot of years on heroin in and out of prison. Same story as everybody else, really, you know. Went to rehab, that didn't work. Got clean, messed up 6 years later. And I think for about 2 years before I got, 2.5 years before I got clean again, but that did more damage than all the rest of it. I'm just coming up, January 1st, I'll be 21 years clean from heroin and all substitutes. Wow. I've struggled with alcohol since, but I've got a quite healthy relationship with alcohol now, so I've done a lot of work on myself this year. And I came to poetry through recovery. My recovery worker, some people will know, Jan Stewart, he got me into it. And it's been like, to be honest with you, in my recovery, I think it's one of the best things that's happened as poetry. It's given me an outlet for all my ghosts and my demons, and to be able to express myself and share your story. You know, if you recover, recover loud.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a mad journey, but I feel like I'm on an even keel now. I've just done my health and social care level 2. I'm a qualified recovery coach. Cool. I've just started applying for jobs now.
Can we give another round of applause? Wow. Brilliant. All right, well, that's fantastic.
Thanks,
so
Keith.
we look forward to hearing your set in a little while. And we'll just briefly come down to Ben, because Ben has been here before and told his story, so Ben's just down here. But Ben, since we were last here, because you were at the March one, you're the only person here that was at the March one other than Chris, but you've had a tragedy in your family. If you're comfortable enough to talk about that, your elder brother was also struggling with addiction, and he hasn't made it through it. Do you want to talk about that, if you're comfortable to?
Yeah, so my big brother Toby sadly couldn't keep off alcohol and anything he could get his hands on, really. Unless he was in prison. He did really well in prison, which is quite sad because he was a really bright, talented, artistic kind of guy, but he couldn't survive in normal life, and he wanted to go back to prison, and he got there, but he was in there 11 days and then he hung himself.
And does his story remind you of your own story, or do you find it completely separate? Do you...
It reminds me of my own story, but I wouldn't have started smoking and drinking if my big brother hadn't been smoking and drinking. But I wouldn't have stopped unless he stopped. He went to prison and he stopped for like 2 years, and I'd stopped for a year when he got out, and I was was pretty suicidal, so I rang him. And he seemed really happy, and he'd got lots of help when he was in prison, and he told me lots of things that I, at the time, because I'd just quit drinking, I never got any support. I've never had any support. I've never really, I had my big brother, basically, who just gave me lots of titles of books, spiritual books, that I soaked them up, and I did everything, which pissed him off, because he could do it when he was in prison, but he couldn't. So we ended up falling out, because I think he was jealous of the fact that I quit, and I was happy.
Well, it's very brave of you. It's less than 3 months, isn't it? And so thank you very much for sharing that. So I think now we're going to get to some performances. I think people have been sitting there going, is anyone going to do a poem or a song or something? Now that is going to happen. In this, it will be in this order. It'll be the same order we went round in. It will be Josh, then Nikita, then Simon, then it will be Ben to take us out at the end. If we have any time for any more discussion, we will. We'd love to have questions, so we hope we leave time for questions. But we're going to have 10-minute sets from Josh and from Si. We'll have a shorter set from Nikita, who just came up, and we kind of hijacked her and told her to do a song. So she'll just do one song, and at the end, Ben will do a slightly longer set to take us out. And we'll see how we do for time in terms of getting a question and answer, because that would be nice to hear some stuff from the audience. So, Josh, can you please take it away? Up at the mic here, and this is your on ear. That's it. That one? Yeah, I think that one's all right, isn't it, Elliot?
Can you hear me? So yeah, I'm going to do some spoken word. I try to just write about stuff, how I feel. The first piece I'm going to perform, it's not really got a name, but I sort of wrote it about holding on when I should let go. So if it was called anything, it would be called Pain, I suppose. I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. Oh, here we go. Your eyes are beautiful. So far they have seen and survived this life and all its rigmaroles. You've been witnessing pain since the day you was born, and watched as it changed and transformed from an insurmountable break to nothing more than a little ache. You've sacrificed your sight at times to blind you and bind you to people that if you was lost, they wouldn't even bother to find you. They would say they've looked whilst trying to hide you. You've seen heartaches, heartbreaks, and dark fates in everyone around you, trying to save their souls like you're bound to them. But when they walk, you are like the ground to them. When you talk, you don't make a sound to them, just rebounding frequencies that hit you in the face with such a sudden force you forget to brace like, where's the decency? It's hard to take when there isn't any. And I know. We all have an unlovable rogue we love with no integrity, who's excited by delinquency, acting with them in the scenes we have no need to be in, ushering wholeheartedly their follies, then fading in the background, pretending they're a wally, when they precisely know exactly what they're doing. Through direct intent or ignorance, the outcome is the same, so the reason's insignificant. So why don't you feel the same and carry all that blame when they just feel the same? Can't you see straight through them like they're inhabiting a window frame? Transparency is transparent, and that will never change. It's apparent, we can hope and pray that we shall see the day they change, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Waiting for them to make decisions they can't make will take all that you have left. And that's not much when you're totally bereft. Save some of you for you. Save some of you for someone who saves themselves for you. Save yourself as someone who makes promises they always follow through for you. No one can take this light from you, even in a darkened room. Do they make you feel enough? I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking, not assuming or making any judgments. I'm just the same as you. I'm a glutton for some punishment. I find comfort living in my pain like it contains some kind of nourishment. Blindsided by this pain, we can never see it coming till it comes. Hiding in the things we think we want and then we get, creeping from those places that we least expect. And as it crept, it haunts us as we slept. We are dreaming whilst we're wide awake, so our dreams won't happen yet. But give us time to realize we are worth much more than what they've summarized, and once we've seen the truth, all our dreams materialize. Real recognize real. So I know you recognize there's nothing wrong to emphasize the way that someone feels inside. But let's be careful as we tread. Ignore the dread at your own peril. Merit actions before words. Stay the course. Mind the swerves. So if you're questioning your worth, just know that you're enough today and every other. Love has got you covered. And if you're in a situation that abhors you, if you wait or if you don't, it's okay. God will make those choices for you. Thank you.
One more? You have got another 4 minutes.
4 minutes,
please help
right, so I
yourself.
can do one more. I wrote this for my partner at the time. Like she suffered with mental health quite badly. She had what was called an emotionally unstable personality disorder. So like she'd flip on a coin, she'd think that the world was against her. So I wrote this just to say that the world's not against you, basically. It's just called I Got You, Babe. I can't begin to understand the trauma that you hold within. Please take my hand and leave behind these demons following, goading you with whispers in the night. Try as they might to break your mind, they can never take your light. The past is dark, but trust me, babe, the future's bright. We was blind, but now we're given sight. Your broken heart was mended by a peace of mind. You stayed in line with me when all I had was time to give. It's not been easy, we've seen some shifts, but for the life of me, I wouldn't change a piece of it. It's our life. So you're more than just a piece of it. They're puzzled by us, but we're just going where the pieces fit. Muddled up in space and time. What's mine is yours and yours is mine. I'll love you till the stars align and everything returns to dust. Push me away, but you can never push enough. When I fall down, you pull me up. There's no such thing as easy love. That's probably why we fight so much, because we know the pain of losing everything we touch. So hold me tight and don't let go. We needn't ever be alone. The day you was born was the day the Lord had shown his angels down, all the way from heaven, to bring you, baby girl, right to where you rested. This world is blessed because you are in it. You've never seen your true potential, but trust me, babe, I've seen it. You are the light upon a lake that glimmers. Fighting for a blossom, may your flowers never wither. Through the coldest nights and darkest winters, never may your soul be splintered. If you lose, then I lose too. Let's keep the medals for the winners. So as it was written, as it was spoke, as we have fell, as we have broke, as we have risen, freed from this prison, perpetuated hell beyond our decisions, listen, for I tell you the truth. You've got me, babe, and I've got you. Thank you.
Yeah, right, yeah. Very good. Cheers, man. Brilliant, brilliant. Fantastic. Josh Hall, everyone. Thank you. Very well. In your first poem, you said about you are enough, I think it was one of your lines. There's a poem by Simon Pickles, who will be on later, and I have a mutual friend called Toria Garbutt, don't we, Si? And Toria Garbutt is from Nottingley, or Notla, as she calls it, Notla, and she's one of the best poets in the country. And she did a poem called You Are Good Enough, and she means exactly what you said there. Check out Toria Garbutt. But thank you very much, Josh, again. So next person we weren't expecting to be on, and now because we hijacked you, you may not even know all the words off by heart, but you're going to do us. But No, but you're going to do a song for us. Nikita, please. How are those microphones? Are they a bit high? Okay. Yeah. Stop it. Go on, away you go. Oh, I don't know. Elliot, have you got the backing track? Oh, okay, up to you. I don't know. I thought you had. I thought there was a backing track. Oh, right. Okay. There's some water there. I don't think there is one. I thought there was a backing track. But can you? How much love is in the room to get her to do it a cappella? Sorry.
Sunlight comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of all we did. It made me think of you. It made me think of you. Under a trillion stars, we danced on top of cars, took pictures of the stage, so far from where we are. They made me think of you. They made me think of you. All eyes go down in the moment we lost and found. Oh, I just wanna be by your side. If these wings could fly for the rest of our lives. Oh, 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 if these wings could fly for the rest of our lives.
Now, in show business and broadcasting, things go wrong, and you have to kind of somehow adapt. And no backing track, didn't even have the lyrics, but you knocked out a belting song. Thank you very much, Nikita. So, fantastic. Also, I asked you before, is the song you're going to do a recovery song? And you said not really, to do with addiction recovery. I think it probably is. These Wings, I think so. Our next perform. What we'll do is we'll have Si on for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll have a question and answer before we have Ben, because I think Ben will take us out with some great music, so that's probably the best way to do it. So, Simon, if I could invite you, please, to come down to the microphone and give us a good 10-minute blast of your poetry. Simon Pickles, everyone.
Right, I reckon I can fit 3 in. So the first one, I was about 19, 20, and I was still living at home with my dad. It was very early days of my addiction. My friend come round and overdosed in my bedroom. It's about that. My dad sat downstairs having a drink. Hang on a minute, are we allowed to swear? Yeah, cool. All right, because I don't know if there's swear words in this. My dad sat downstairs having a drink with his mate and his mate's wife. I'm in my bedroom, slumped on my bed, gouching out, high as a kite. I never heard you knocking on, so my old man just sent you up. In my blurry vision, I see my door open, there's drugs everywhere. I think, fuck, and thank fuck. It's not my dad, it's just you. Straight away, you're pecking my head, saying you want to be gouching too. So I set us up a couple of hits. He said, can you hit me up, mate? I'm scared I might miss. So I put that needle in your vein and gave you that fix. I have mine and turned round to you saying you're going to be sick. Mate, you better not throw up in my room. I try to get you to the toilet, but you can't stand up. I say, I'll go get a bowl, I'll be back real soon. So rush back in with this ball for you. I'm stopped dead in my tracks. I don't know how to react. Your lips have turned totally blue. I'm slapping your face hard as I can, but it's having next to no effect. You're breathing, but only shallow. My head's totally wrecked. What the hell do I do next? Our house hasn't even got a landline. Got to think about my next step, because this shit's a landmine, and I've just stepped on it. What if while I run to the payphone, you choke on your vomit? What if the ambulance is too busy tonight? The proverbial has hit the fan and it's all gone to shite. I'm out the door running fast as these legs can carry. Back in my mind, I'm thinking, hang on in there, mate. Don't commit junkie, Harry Carey. As I sprint out the end of my street, I see a wave from a car. I hear its on beep. Straight away, I see a form of escape, so I'm on it. I'm out in the middle of the road. If he can't stop in time, I'm going over the bonnet. The car skids to him in Brook Toll. I jump in and tell him I ain't lying. Our mate's in mine, he's dying. That shit ain't being my fault. He says, fuck that, I'm not getting involved. I'm already sat in your car, so you already are. And if he dies, I'm telling everyone it was your fault. So now we're back in mine with another problem to solve. How do we get him out of the house without my dad seeing, or his mate's wife? Societal embarrassment should be a minor consideration, considering we're trying to save this lad's life. He's wrecked. We're taking him home, Dad. Was the best in the way of an explanation I had. Now we're flat out in car as you slumping back. I climb over front and try and wake you with a slap. I wind down the window and hang your head out in the cold night air. I'm screaming like mad, shouting, come on, mate, let me know you're still there. As we approach the hospital, your condition starts to rapidly worsen. It's not going to be a happy ending to this one, I'm certain. Car pulls up and I'm out, dragging you out the back as fast as I can, then trying to lift the dead weight of an almost dead man. He jumps back in car and says he's bailing. I look at you laid on pavement. It's clear to see that your vital signs are failing. But I couldn't run. So I reckon if Boot were on other foot, you would have done exactly the same. Just got to ride this one out and potentially shoulder the blame. I sling you over my shoulder and I start running for the door, but you've got to get buzzed in now. You can't just walk in anymore. I'm stood there in total disbelief. People are just watching me with a man on my shoulder that's blue and can't even breathe. I can't take it 1 second more, so I scream at the top of my lungs, somebody open this fucking door. I rush in and got to put you down on ground. You're completely limp though. Your head hits the floor of an almighty pound. I shouted, stop breathing, it's a ruin overdose. Someone hits a button and a crash team come running. This call's going to be so close. They start working on you there and then. They defib you, but no, clear. They shock you again. Your body convulses. They check you for even the weakest of pulses. Nothing still. I'm filled with dread. One more charge left and that battery's dead. Clear. No. Have I just killed my mate with gear? They drag you off into a resus room. My horrible junkie self says police will be here soon. Your fingerprints are on both syringes and there's gear left on the spoon. But I couldn't run. Even though self-preservation was saying I ought to, because if you don't make it, this is manslaughter. Nurse ushers me into a family room. I sit down, head in hand, sense of impending doom. Doctor comes bursting through the door. Your mate's life's hanging by a thread, so what's the score? I need to know exactly what he's had tonight, and it's still touch and go if we can save his life. I tell him when he disappears, I don't think you're going to make it, and I'm in flood of tears. And I tell you this much, mate, and it's totally true. Not one of them tears were over what would happen to me, but because of what I'd just done to you. I don't know how long I was in that room, because time had stood still. All that time, all I could think was that you had just killed. Then the nurse comes back in. She's smiling, tells me you're going to pull through, but you're not out the water yet, so you've gone up to ICU. When I walked on that ward, mate, the sense of relief was untrue. Never again alive did I think I'd see you. They let you out after 2 days. I went to your mum and dad's with you. They didn't know the real truth, so they showered me with praise. I've always felt guilty about that, mate, all these days. I ain't seen you for time. Last I'd heard, you got your life back in line. You were living in Bradford, clean, working and doing fine. That's why it came as such a shock. When a mutual mate said you were gone, your life stopped. You lapsed, mate, but you knew the fucking score. Toot it, don't shoot it, you've no tolerance anymore. And I feel bad because I'm proper angry at you for being such a dick. Why did you have to go and inject that shit? As soon as you shot it, apparently you went down and hit the floor. Your so-called mate, he hit the ground running, shot straight out the door. This is a bit I can't get my head around, the bit that cuts me to the bone. Why aren't you just making an anonymous ambulance call from the nearest payphone? That's all he had to do. And I might not be stood here saying this to strangers tonight, then I might have had a chance to say this to you. If I'd been there, mate, I'd have done all I could have done. And just like last time, I'd try and save your life, but I promise you, bro, I wouldn't have run. Thank you. This next one, it was part of an arts project in Keith where they knocked old college building down. There were all hoardings up round it, and we're part of an arts project with People Powers Press. I think it's like world's biggest hand press, and we just filled hoardings with poetry. So this one that I put up, it's called End the Stigma. It's time to end the stigma of addiction. We don't demonise people suffering other kinds of affliction. The opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. So why are addicts cast out at every societal intersection? Today it's them, but tomorrow it could be you. Addiction doesn't discriminate, that's always been true. It doesn't care about race, religion or colour, it just wants to see graveyards and prisons getting fuller. I've lost count of the lives we've all lost along the way, and we keep adding them up still to this day. I've known more people die than I have get clean. That's why we need to stop stigmatising that scene. Because people keep dying, and it's an uphill battle for those that are trying, because services are slashed and budgets got cut, so it's even harder than ever to get yourself out that rut. Addicts are just people afflicted by trauma and hurt. If you saw someone else's suffering, would you treat them like dirt? The stigma of addiction doesn't end when you get clean. There's always someone wanting to remind you of what you'd once been, or saying, have a beer, you'll be right with just one. Don't be a spoil sport, you're ruining our fun. Because most people just don't get it. So if you've got clean or sober, I'll give you full credit, because I'm walking that path too, and it's a hard one. So stay positive and stay true. True to yourself. Recognise it was you that got you here, no one else. So if you're in recovery, recover loud. Don't be ashamed of your past, you survived it, be proud. Because we beat the odds. We're part of a growing statistic. That we do recover is highly realistic. So that addict who you pass in the street could be one step away from having the demons beat. Or maybe they've still got a long way to go. Maybe they'll never get out, who knows? All I know is this much. It was easier for me when people gave me a lift up, helped me on my way, start to believe in a brighter day. So every day now I give praise. It could have been so different in so many ways. So I refuse to be stigmatised. My people are the disenfranchised. The ones who are down on the luck might just need a hand up. Yearning for a Samaritan, so treat them with humility, not arrogance. They're someone's daughter or son, brother or sister, dad or mum, to stop viewing them like junkie scum. People need to open their eyes and finally start seeing that behind the addiction is just another human being. Thank you. I wrote this one Tuesday evening. Tuesday at my friend Lyndon's funeral. We're childhood friends, went through addiction together. He never got out of it, and he died Halloween. And then I've lost 2 other friends this month as well. So it got me thinking about everybody from Stockbridge, Cherokee, who we grew up with. Out of all our kind of people, our group, the ones of us who got into our drugs, there's like 3 of us left out of a lot of people. So this one's called A Requiem for Lovable Rogues. Yeah, they had a poem at his thing called A Requiem for Rogues, which is about a cowboy or something, so I just wrote my response to that, A Requiem for Lovable Rogues. Quintessential rogues, lovable down to a man, not bonded by blood, we were closer than fam. Mischievous childhoods, knock a door, run, home before streetlights come on, I faced the wrath of mum. No DNA, but they were my sisters and brothers, raised in each other's homes by surrogate mothers. Childhood was all sugar water days, never-ending summers in the 6-week holidays, lecking in river and building swings and dens, best of times with best of friends. Youth club discos and inter-school fights, first drinks, first kisses, hash spliffs, best of days, best of nights. Young, carefree and still idealistic, no foresight to how many would become a statistic. Me and Roy picking shrooms on moors, acid house parties with a northern uproar. House music, raves and ecstasy, good vibes only, hugging strangers next to me. 89, second summer of love, still naive as fuck to the dangers of drugs. 92, it all started going wrong. Things were never the same again in our town. Youthful hedonism became addiction, the red, white and blue of England replaced by brown. Neck deep in a heroin epidemic, then the non-stop death starts. We became a scourge of tourist society, our broken dreams broke our parents' hearts. So many lives destroyed, so many lives lost, too many lost souls. The lovable rogues paid such a high cost. Thank you.
Right, so I'm going to call Ben in a little while to take us out. Before I do, we'll have a little Q&A, but just quickly, Chris and Dougie, the performances there, they show that creativity of addicts is as varied as non-addicts. There's a lot of different characters there who are working through their stuff and have given us really powerful performances.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I loved that last one that Simon just did there. That was very sort of thought-provoking. You know, it made me look at sort of modern history. You know, and when you talk about that heroin epidemic, really got sort of the cogs going. You know, but they are you know, there's a wealth of people with skills and people that can articulate themselves so well. You know, that get trapped in addiction. And it's beautiful to see people being able to use it as an outlet to sort of share their experience and carry that message of hope as well.
Yeah. Did a lot of that resonate with you, Dougie? A lot of them performances?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like we've heard somebody sing, you know, we've heard some poetry and stuff like that, you know. There's a lot of things that, you know, people hide behind, you know, through fear, you know, and getting clean and coming out and doing things and stuff like that, you know. I think it gives everybody, you know, an opportunity to, you know, to find what helps them, you know, like with poetry, with singing and stuff like that. And it's a confidence booster as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's, you know, if you can sing and you can do poetry and, you know, other things like that, you know, there's various other things that people do and stuff like that. And I think, you know, by doing these, you know, it gives you that inspiration to be able to, you know, carry on with your recovery and be able to, you know, to show other people. You know, I was just the last one. You know, it touched me a lot because, you know, when I was first in recovery, you know, we were in lockdown, you know, and unfortunately, you know, it's basically been, you know, 6 months of me being in my recovery, I lost 4 people, you know, due to relapsing and going out there. And as it was said, you know, they lost the tolerance to drugs and they went and tried using as much as what they used to do when they first came in. And unfortunately, they died. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows how serious addiction is and how easy it is for us to go out there and relapse and sadly, you know, lose his life.
Yeah, and I don't think there's probably no one in this room who has not been affected by that in some way, and probably in the very hardest way. So just for a few minutes before we get Ben on to take us out with his musical stylings, has anyone got any questions either to Chris or Dougie or to the performers about anything to do with their stories or anything, or just something to say or anything about what we've been talking about? It's not compulsory, but if you have got something to say, now is the time to say it. Oh yeah, James, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Keith.
Hi, James.
So there were certain phrases which stood out to me as a fellow poet. If you don't express yourself, you will depress yourself. The value of the arts there. The gifts of recovery, what are those to you? The value of poetry, personal storytelling. Poetry is expression, the most concentrated form of it. In your journey of healing, recover loud, proud and unashamed. Behind addiction is another human being, and going forwards to better things. Good
Very
phrases.
nice.
Good phrases.
Yeah, good. So that's what you took from it. So there we are. I didn't even ask a question. You just told us that. But anything you like, just for the next few minutes, if there is anything that you want to share about your own journey, or you want to ask someone else about theirs that you've heard tonight, or anything. Again, it's not compulsory. If not, then I'll I'll wrap up with you two, if that's all right, and then we'll go to Ben. So you've obviously brought a van load of people today who are all quite cock-a-hoop about that lovely gong there, but the work doesn't stop, does it? It carries on. You know, you win your prizes or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's all about people getting their lives back. Would you say that's what
Most
it's about?
definitely, and it's incentive. It's what drives us to move forward and continue. That recognition, knowing that the city's behind us. You know, I'm a very proud Leeds lad. Do you know, it means so much to me for us to have this golden owl. Do you know, beautiful, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a driver for us to continue to be able to challenge stigma. You know, and help people to engage in recovery, from to be able to focus on the skills and strengths. It's about empowerment. It's about them feeling like they're part of a community that supports community. So the work don't stop; it continues. Christmas is coming though. There's 2 weeks off.
Christmas is Yes, but I mean, would you say this is a thing? Recovery. When you reach recovery, that's like a promised land, and you've reached recovery, but it never ends, does it? It's the challenge is always there.
Yeah, it's
but also
maintenance, isn't it?
society maybe sometimes makes it difficult, even for people who are. Are there challenges even when you're in the good place? Because of your past, it keeps coming back, like Si said in his poem.
I think most definitely, but I think that realistically, for me, I have a daily reprieve, from my addiction, and as long as I'm focused on being best version of myself, I'll shape tomorrow. The future will be a product of today's actions. Yeah. So if I am embracing any negativity, I'm focused on being positive, on developing these relationships around me by giving back. That tends to shape tomorrow and what tomorrow will bring. It's difficult to come into recovery after a lifetime of addiction where there's a lot of shame and guilt. But at the end of the day, I was taught and I believe, that I am responsible for my addiction. I'm responsible for my recovery.
Yeah. And that's something else, well, that everyone who was talked about their responsibility. They always talked, it's my fault, I got into this position, and then I'm getting out of it. There's a lot of personal responsibility goes with what you're doing. That's what key thing, yeah.
I mean, as I said, I've not been in a support group. I said this last time as well, I feel like the odd one out because I haven't really had a support group, but my whole thing was just to be words have gone, but just to it's my responsibility basically. I've got to every day remember that if yesterday I had some problems, then I just need to face those problems. I need to face them sober. Yeah. So turning to alcohol is not going to help me.
No.
Sometimes I think it will, and I'll walk with my kids to the booze shop, and then I get there and I see all the advertisement for the booze, and something, I don't know, God or me, something just happens, and I go, I don't want any of that. And I walk back again, and my kids are like, we didn't get anything from the shop. It's okay. We didn't get anything from the shop, but words are escaping me. But
but that's a daily battle you're going through, and everyone is.
But
and it's just brave.
With my brother dying, all I wanted to do was get drunk, or get stoned, and I chose that. As you know, because you caught me, I chose that I'd start smoking again. That was probably the worst thing I could do, because most people know here that nicotine is a nasty little fucker. But I've done 4 days straight off smoking, and here's the word I've been looking for: vigilance. Vigilance, because I've done 4 days straight on a building site with a lot of addicts. Who would prefer it if I just had a fag with them. They think I'm a nicer person if I just have a fag with them. It makes them feel better.
Addicts tend to want company, don't they? In their addiction.
And that's
what.
It took me a while to realise that I just had to be vigilant and say, no, I'm all right, thanks. And,
Brilliant.
Vigilance.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Ben. That's great again. And you're going to hear a bit more from Ben. I'll give it one last quick. Anyone put their hand up and want to say anything? Is there someone at the top? Who is it? Oh, it's our lass. It's Helen.
Just to say thank you to everybody who's shared their stories today. It's been really moving and powerful to hear. We know that, I suppose, the stigma is part of the problem. Why does the stigma still exist? What can we do about it?
I think how you challenge stigma is through actions, and that's why we're so active in community, demonstrating value that we offer through giving back. you know, to challenge stigma and to change that perception of addiction, because it's really hard to look past antisocial aspects of addiction. Where I'm from, it's rife, you know, and there's crime, and there's people that are addicted to drugs that cause lots of problems in society, but there's sick people that have an illness. You know, and it's our responsibility as people in recovery to carry that message of hope and to give back and to be able to support these people to overcome that affliction, you know, that addiction, to help support them into recovery, but also to carry that message of hope into the community. So I think you do it through action, and I think that how you beat addiction is through forming communities, supporting each other.
Wonderful.
Yeah, in case I don't have a chance, like Ellen, to thank people, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. I know Ben's going to play a set of songs, and thanks very much, Keith, for hosting, and thanks, Dougie and Chris, for coming along. I would say that, and as part of the festival, there are 3 broadcasts, in case people are listening and want to know more. There's an interview with Five Ways, there's an interview with Wren Bakery, and also with Richard from Getting Clean this afternoon. So there are other programmes you can listen back to on the website. So, but yeah, thanks to everyone tonight. Let's give them a round of applause so far. We've got more to come.
Yeah, sure.
No, I'm not doing it. I just wanted to say as well, you know, you've heard my story about going into rehabilitation and stuff like that, you know. People can get clean by going into meetings, you know, going to support groups like Getting Clean, you know, Triple FM, things like that, you know, waking up for support and stuff like that, you know. It's where the community is, and it's where people can talk, and it's where people can gather and be able to do things and stuff like that. So, but if people are thinking that, you know, people are going into rehabilitation and stuff like that, you know, there's always meetings about, there's Zoom meetings, there's all sorts of various meetings and stuff like that. So, you know, you can get clean in recovery. That's all I'm trying to say. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Mutual aid, that's what it's talking
about. Yeah, mutual aid.
Peer-to-peer support, lived experience, that's where it's at, man.
Fantastic. Thank you. And the penultimate bit of applause I'd like before Ben comes on, and you'll give him a massive round of applause at the end, is for Elliot, the tech person up at the top there, who's made it all possible. And also, there is a photographer here. James, the poet, is also a photographer. He's taken a lot of pictures. Yeah. There we go. I didn't hear you. We heard you. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter. I'll listen back and hear it. Thank you. Thank you. Lenny Flint, by all means, give him a shout as well. We give everyone a shout. And please just save a little bit of your ovation for Ben Greenwell, who is going to take us out with a 15-minute set, and then that will be us. And you can go to Armley for your curry or downstairs for soup. So, thank you. Go on, Ben. Go on, Ben.
My foot's gone to sleep. So I will sing some songs. I just want to plug that it was 8 years in November since I had a drink.
Well done.
Thought about it, but I haven't had one. Song. So, oh yeah, I keep forgetting that, don't I? The song's called Breathe, which is the title of my album, which you can find on all those listening platforms. It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I am.
It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I am. Got sucked into the emotion, dragged down by my imagination, a spiraling vortex of the neurotic mind, suffocating, never escaping all these thoughts that I thought that I left behind. It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I am. It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I am. Woke myself up, arguing with myself about myself, to myself. A crazy broken dream about my low self-esteem, about all the times I cheated, and all the times that I lied, all the times I got wasted, and all the times that I cried. It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I am. It's time to breathe, it's time to believe, being the best man I got stuck in there. Thank you. So I think I played these songs last time, but they seem to be the most relevant ones. When I quit smoking the first time, by the way, I actually quit smoking for 7 years. But the first time I quit smoking, I found even harder than quitting drinking. Real dark shit. And I was tempted to start drinking again when I'd quit smoking, which is quite a weird one. Like I say, my brother gave me a load of books and spiritual books, and they really helped. And I, from reading those books, it sort of inspired me to A, carry on not smoking, and B, to write this song. So I felt a bit of a fraud for the past 3 months singing it because I've been smoking again, but I haven't smoked for 4 days, so it should be all right. So this one's called Potion. dissolve emotion. Negative emotion can't survive in conscious energy. Come and feel the love that's alive in you and me. Negative emotion can't survive in conscious energy. Come and feel the love that's alive in you and me. Show yourself, come on and put me down. I'm not sure I want you hanging around. All this self-doubt and negativity. Well, I'm ashamed to know that you're a part of me. Don't need a potion to dissolve emotion. Negative emotion can't survive in conscious energy. Come and feel the love that's alive in you and me. Negative emotion can't survive in conscious energy. Come and feel the love that's alive in you and me. Thank you. One more, yeah. I'm gonna let you guys choose. I've got a song called Everywhere, or I've got a song called Traverse. I don't really mind which one I play. Can I have a bit of that water? What do you like the sound of, Chris? Everywhere or Traverse?
Put it to the crowd, man, I think.
Yeah. And they all produce a different sound, and that first one I played produced the wrong sound, so that's fucked. Sorry. That's not very good. I'll give it to my son. Right, there you go. Oh, that's cruel. Quack. So Everywhere came about, again, you know, every now and again, like when I was reading these books and not having a drink and not having a cigarette and telling myself little mantras. You know, sometimes like it'd be really dark thoughts, and I'd be telling myself these mantras anyway, like it's all gonna be good, you know. And I fucking better do. And then occasionally I'd be sat there doing absolutely nothing, and I'd feel like I'd be floating, and I'd be like, oh, wow, that's like a better high than I've ever had in my life. And I've had lots of highs, so... And obviously there wasn't a come down from that, you know. So little moments like that, you know, that occasionally you get lots of moments like that, but, you know, those little things, they inspire me to carry on, but they obviously inspire me to write songs. This one, I didn't even write, it just fell whilst I was feeling really good, going, what's happening? Ooh, song, thanks. So whoever wrote it, I caught it. Every little problem that you've ever had, every situation that has driven me mad, well, they're all in our minds and our imagination. We have driven ourselves blind through sheer frustration. Time to let it go and let it be, yeah. Take it slow and wait and see, alright. You are the water, you are the air, you are the birds and the bees, the wind through the trees, you are you, me, you are everywhere, yeah, you are the water, yeah, you are the birds and the bees, the wind through the trees, you are you and me, you are everywhere, yeah. Your mind and your imagination will try to hold you back. You'll have to stand fast, stand firm, stand clear of the tracks. And once you're aboard this conscious train, there'll be no more past and there'll be no more shame. It's time to let it go and let it be, yeah. Take it slow and wait and see, alright. You are the water, you are the air, you are the birds and the bees, the wind through the trees, you are you and me, you are everywhere, yeah, you are the water, yeah, you are the birds and the bees, the wind through the trees, you are you and me, you are everywhere, yeah, yeah, everywhere, yeah, everywhere, yeah, everywhere. You are the water, you are the air, you are the birds and the bees, the wind through the trees, you are you and me, you are everywhere.
It's John Lennon here speaking with his voice. Words, poetry, witty.